The Madman!
Welcome to the first set of cards that come out with the announcement that the next upcoming expansion of Hearthstone is going to be Scholomance Academy. And one of the cards is available right now, Transfer Student. Transfer Student is the 2-mana 2/2 with the very unique text. This has different effects based on which game board you're on. After Scholomance Academy comes out, there will be 25 total game boards for 25 different effects. In Standard, there's going to be 10 of them. In short, the important thing to remember is that in Standard, 6 of them are going to give you some sort of tempo-y type effect. 4 of them will basically be draw a card. Is that good enough to make decks right now? And I think so, it is. Good filler card to displace some of the other good filler cards. It's stronger than quite a few of those because 2-mana 2/2 get a decent card is a good effect, and 2-mana 2/2 tempo plays are quite good as well. Also, there's a little bit of minor drama with the card. People criticize it for being too random, and in fact, it has already gotten banned from a collegiate tournament setting. I think that's very premature. As long as you remember the potential of it to deal 2 damage on the Catapult board and the +1/+2 on the Pandaria board, you're good to go. So Transfer Student is kind of a flavorful introduction to Scholomance since it is transferring from the future expansion into play right now. But what other mechanics can we expect from Scholomance? Well, one of the big ones is going to be dual class cards. This one is Hunter Druid, 3-mana 3/3. Choose one, give beast in your deck +1/+1, or transform into a copy of a friendly beast. Reminds me a lot of Keloseth. You play her early, your entire deck, which is presumably built around this card, will get +1/+1 if it's all beasts. Nice thing is, it's not as useless as Keloseth in the late game. You just copy a friendly beast if it's late game. Of course, a card like this requires seeing the rest of the set, but I would expect there to be more Druid beasts, more Hunter beasts. Right now, it seems most likely that Hunter beast deck might incorporate Shondo Wildclaw in it. Really famous potential uses of it would be in Druid, you can Shondo Wildclaw and transform into Winged Guardian from Massive Valley. And in Highlander Hunter, which I don't believe will run Shondo Wildclaw because, the give beast in your deck +1/+1, not enough beasts in that deck. Copy a friendly beast, only good with Dino Tamer Bran. In which case, you could have 16/16 of charge on turn 10, but that's a really specific 2-card combo of which both of the cards are 1 copy each in your deck. More meme than practical, I'd say. In Mage Rogueland, 1-mana 1/2 Wand Thief. Combo, discover a mage spell. So this incorporates mage spells along with the rogue mechanic of combo, and it also incorporates their ability to generate cards. Really good card. Especially good on the rogue side, I'd say, because rogue also has a mechanic where if you're holding cards of different classes, you get benefits. Now, Wand Thief, as a dual class card, does not count in terms of holding a different class, because it is still rogue card. But once you discover the mage spell, of course, you're going to have that easy other class card. Especially obnoxious when you're playing against rogue to also have to play around mage cards now, mage spells even. Just a good card. 1-mana 1/2 to discover a mage spell is a powerful effect, and I would expect a bunch of mage decks and a bunch of rogue decks, which are mid-range or value-oriented, to put that into their deck. Certainly Burgle type rogue decks will put this into their deck. Lightning Bloom is a Druid Shaman dual class card. 0 mana, gain 2 mana crystals this turn only. Overload 2. So it is basically using a card in order to borrow mana from the future now. Given the fact that you have to pay it back later with Overload 2, it seems like it's niche enough to only see play in some sort of combo deck. Doesn't seem good enough to just run it as a tempo card, because then you have to compare it with Flame Reefed Faceless, which was just 1 card to get a 4-mana 7/7 Overload 2. So on 4 mana, suppose you play Lightning Bloom, then you can cheat out a 6-mana card. Can you get much better than a 7/7? Especially considered you use 2 cards to do that? Yeah. So a combo deck, maybe you'll see some use out of Lightning Bloom. Again, we'll have to see. And you've got Devolving Missiles, a dual class Shaman Mage card. For 1 mana, you shoot 3 missiles at random enemy minions that transform them into ones that cost 1 less. Now, Devolve was a 2-mana card that actually saw some play. Decent amount of play, even. Devolving Missiles isn't even strictly worse than Devolve. In some ways, it's better. It's a 1 mana Devolve, which has the added benefit that if you shoot the same minion multiple times with missiles, it devolves not just -1, but -2, or even -3. So just a really good, generally powerful spell that I would expect spell-based decks to enjoy. Shaman looks like it's going to be a spell-based deck. There were actually some Shaman cards which rewarded you for playing spells the previous turn. Well, this is a really easy spell to just play. And that's a great lead-in to one of the Shaman cards and another mechanic from this set, Spellburst. Diligent Note Taker is a 2 mana 2/3 with Spellburst. Return the spell to your hand. Spellburst is a one-time effect, one time after you cast a spell. Doesn't have to be the turn that you play the card also. Seems like a great card that fits into Shaman, which was pushed as a spell-based set on the last one, but didn't get enough good cards. Maybe this addition of Spellburst as a mechanic, as well as generally more good spells for Shaman, cards that support Shaman spells, this could be great for Shaman. If you use the Spellburst effect, it is 2 mana 2/3, get a good card, and 2 mana 2/3s, which get a good card, are great. Spellburst certainly rewards having cheap spells in your deck, and that's great for another mechanic that's in this set, Studies. This is the Druid study, Nature Studies. For 1 mana, you discover a spell. Your next one costs 1 less. Nature Studies itself costs 1 mana, so that'll trigger Spellburst really easily. But it could easily set you up for a 0 mana spell. This card seems like a just obvious addition into Spell Druid and in its current form. You will be pushing more towards the exotic Mount Seller build, because not only is it a cheap spell, it's a cheap spell that discounts future spells. And it's a cheap spell that is a spell that also gets you more spells, so that you have more spells when you cast your Glowfly Swarm. It is better than Primordial Glyph even in some ways. You don't only discount the card you get, you discount any spell you get, and the discount is held. Paladin is getting some good stuff. That's a 0 mana spell, first day of school, that adds 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. That's fantastic. Firefly was thought of as a really good card, and random 1-cost minions tend to be better than 1 mana 1/2s. They're almost always better than 1 mana 1/2s. One of the weaknesses of Paladin was that they didn't have enough early game, and I think this fills up their weakness really well. Will Paladins stick with their pure Paladin theme, or will we see some sort of mid-range? We'll see. And this Paladin card, whew, that's a card. Goody 2 shields, 3 mana 4/2, Divine Shield. Spellburst, gain Divine Shield. So this is one of the cards that you don't want to trigger the Spellburst on immediately, so you probably want to play it as the last card in your turn. But the great thing is, you just play this card, 3 mana 4/2 Divine Shield. On a future turn, maybe you trade and then cast a spell, and then you regain Divine Shield for just about the most value you could possibly tack onto a 3 mana card. 3 mana 4/2 Divine Shield is just strong. Like, compare this to Scarlet Crusader, which is a 3 mana 3/1 Divine Shield. A strong mid-range Paladin card, aggro Paladin card. Maybe even just generally good enough to fit into Control Paladin. In Warrior Land, 8 mana Troublemaker, 6/8. At the end of your turn, summon 2 3/3 Ruffians that attack random enemies. If you play this on an empty board, you're not only playing 8 mana 6/8 deal 6 damage to your opponent, you're playing 8 mana 12/14 deal 6 damage to your opponent. Maybe you'll see this at the high end of some mid-range warrior decks, of some tempo warrior decks. Yes, 8 mana is a lot, but boy is that a heavy effect. Of course, past just, aggro or mid-range warriors that might possibly consider using this on the high end, I think control warriors will definitely use this as kind of a Ragnaros. It's an 8 mana 6/8, which deals 6 damage, basically. And in the case where your damage goes to the face, which isn't great, you'll at least get compensated with a 3/3. The only requirement for this card to be good is pretty much that games go to turn 8. Consistently. If they do, you're probably going to see control warriors out there with the troublemakers at the high end. You're going to see tempo warriors and mid-range warriors with the troublemaker on the high end also, just to finish out the games. This card might be so strong that you see mid-range type warriors crop up that try to ramp to Troublemaker. Speaking of games going on longer, Rattlegore. is a warrior legendary. 9 mana, 9/9, death rattle, resummon this with -1/-1. Needless to say, this card really requires games to actually go on for long, so you can enjoy the value generated from Rattlecore. When you add it all together, it's 9 mana, 45 worth of stats. Just wait 10 turns. This card is a backbreaking card in the control versus control matchup, and if control warrior is a thing, and other decks out there are slow as well, you will see Rattlecore out there, and you will see other decks have to tech in cards to deal with Rattlecore, otherwise they'll get blown out. Obviously, silence and transform effects are very strong against this card. Finally, you have the priest card, Frazzled Freshman. 1 mana, 1/4. Yeah, it's good. It's a 1 mana, 1/4 with no drawback. It is in a class that has the least ability to get benefit off of it because this is meant for a tempo deck like a zoo, but it does push that direction for priest. Will priests have a zoo type deck? We'll see. And it's not without precedent. Dragon Maul Overseer is an excellent 3-cost card to fit into this type of deck. Taking a look at some of the neutrals, by the way, probably less neutrals in this set due to the dual class cards. Cult Neophyte, 2 mana, 3/2, Battlecry, your opponent's spells cost 1 more next turn. Pack Filler, theoretically good against combo decks, but really who's going to be playing a combo deck, who's going to be teching this card specifically against combo decks? Unimportant. Wretched Tutor, 4 mana, 2/5, Spell Burst, deal 2 damage to all other minions. If you were planning to play Volcanic Potion on the turn, Wretched Tutor has the benefit that it's basically a 1 mana, 2/5 that comes packaged alongside a Volcanic Potion. And that's some good value packaging. You don't even have to play Volcanic Potion the turn that you play Wretched Tutor. You could just play that as a 4 mana, 2/5. And then, maybe you don't have enough mana, or maybe your opponent doesn't have minions on the board. Just don't have the Spell Burst effect in, and then play the Spell Burst effect on a later turn. Get the value that way. 5 health is kind of difficult to remove on a 4 mana card. I think this is a legitimate control type card. Onyx Mage Scribe, 6 mana, 4/9 dragon. Spell Burst, add 2 random spells from your class to your hand. Not only is it great stats, if you manage to play a spell, like on the same turn as the Onyx Mage Scribe, or even on a later turn, because who's going to remove a 9 health card on a 6 mana card? It's pretty hard. Well, just play a spell and you get 2 cards on top. Now that is value central right there. Great card to consider for dragon value decks, dragon control decks. Do those exist? Well, some might exist with Onyx Mage Scribe. That is just enough value to really tantalize you. And I thought that was going to be all of the cards that I was going to cover this video. However, special leaked information preview videos that have come out. A 1 mana 1/1 Broom. This is so new of information when I was recording this that I don't actually know the English translation yet. Rush, Battlecry, give your other minions rush. That sounds good, but it seems like filler to me. For it to be important to give your other minions rush, you would need to play other minions the same turn you played the Broom, so it's certainly not a 1 mana 1/1. Is it really that important for you to get a bunch of cards with rush the same turn that you play a Broom? Meh. It reminds me a lot of the rogue weapon, Serrated Tooth, which didn't see play. And you've got a mega 10-cost Druid spell here. Give all minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield +4/+4. On first glance, this seems like a super win more card, because when you're at 10 costs, like you're already playing your win cards, are you playing a card to set yourself up to win more later? Ooh, that's pretty tough. It's a card that buffs your deck and hand at 10 mana. So the slowest of slow cards. Like, yes, it buffs cards on the board also, but it's not like you really wanted to play Gift of the Wild, right? There's your first look at Scholomance Academy cards. Some really cool cards. I really like the dual class mechanic. Looking forward to seeing all the new cards and how that'll change up the meta.